Graham Platner is out. He dropped out of the Maine Senate race on Wednesday night. But first, I want to cover what matters here. A Maine woman named Jenny Racicot came forward this week and said Platner forced himself upon her. And that was back in 2021. He denies it. I'm not a judge. I'm not a court. I don't get to decide guilt. But I know what I said about this guy a month ago, and I was wrong. I was. We should listen to women, and frankly, at this point, where there's smoke, there's fire with Graham Platner. Now, Racicot said to Politico, and I believe she's also been interviewed by CNN, that Platner showed up at her home drunk, repeatedly demanded to come in, forced himself upon her after so many times of her saying no. She said that he violated so many layers of consent that night, refusing protection, everything. And this woman is on his political side, right? She has nothing to gain from doing this. And yet she put her name out there nationally. She is brave, and we should listen to her. And she is no longer alone. Another woman has come forward, Lindsay Feifeld. She went on camera with CNN this week and said that Platner repeatedly grabbed her while they dated over a decade ago, at times leaving bruises, and once blocked her inside a bedroom. His campaign said that one was categorically false. I'll let him have that statement. And it comes from a person with a well-documented political agenda, according to Platner's campaign. Yet, again, there is a lot of evidence surrounding Graham Platner. So Wednesday night, he finally quit. And what I want to point to is the 11-minute video apology, maybe? Because in an 11-minute video, he could have been what a man should be. Someone who owns up to their past, to their mistakes. Instead, he said that the media has acted as, quote, judge, jury, and executioner. The political establishment did this to him. The timing was a plot to get him off the ballot. That's what Graham Platner is trying to tell you. He's not owning up to anything. He's blaming the media, blaming everybody else. Instead of having any form of accountability, he blamed everyone else. And he says, we're not doing it because of the allegations. We're doing it because of the structures that are being taken away from us by those in power. And he looked into a camera and ended his campaign over a allegation and announced that that allegation had nothing to do with it.
It's not the false allegations, though, that have brought us to where we are. It's the fact that they are being used by the political establishment to put structural pressure on us.
11 minutes. And the woman at the center of all of it essentially doesn't exist in those 11 minutes. And it should be said, this collapse was fast. And it was the right people moving fast. Even Schumer, Gillibrand, they pulled their support and said that the DSCC wouldn't spend $1 if he was still on the ballot. Ro Khanna, Ruben Gallego, they ranked their endorsements outright. Bernie called for him to step aside. And Troy Jackson, who had been out campaigning for him, set the bar that every Democrat should have to clear from now on, saying we cannot ask women to trust us with their futures while looking the other way when one of our own hurts them. That ends here, I believe, Jenny Racicot. And that's what it sounds like when somebody actually means it. And by the way, Republicans, take notes. Because when it's one of theirs, the playbook is deny, promote, and hell, put them on a coin, right? Or make them president. So now, Maine Democrats, they've got the job of picking a replacement over the next 2 or so weeks. And I've got to ask, are you looking for the safest name available? Or do you want someone who's actually going to fight the fights that Platner claimed to actually care about? Because those may not be the same person, and this party has a long history of confusing those two things. So let me know your thoughts in the comments. Are we going to try to play it safe, or do we want a real progressive, inspiring candidate? I want the latter there. But on his way out, Platner still couldn't stop trying to grab at the wheel, because the Maine Democratic Party publicly has accused his campaign of trying to, quote, put their thumb on the scale of the replacement process. His campaign manager blasted out a mass text attacking the party for planning a, quote, nomination process behind closed doors, end quote. And he attached a survey link. He also personally called a state representative to float her as his replacement without asking her first, which then she had to explain to the press. So now there's a real fight. You've got Troy Jackson, backed by Bernie, a former logger who has spent his entire career fighting for working people. He filed his paperwork. And a recent poll actually has him beating Susan Collins by 5 points, which is better than Graham Platner was doing in the polls already. Dan Kleben, a brewery owner, formally declared Wednesday, saying that he can unite the party. So the Maine Democratic Party, they've voted to have a nominating convention, and they've got until late July to pick. And this seat is one of the party's best shots at winning the Senate majority in November. It was winnable last week, before all of this came out. It is still winnable now. But the Democratic Party has to throw their full weight behind whatever candidate they choose, and I believe it has to be someone that is on the progressive side like Platner was. And as for me, I supported this guy, and I apologize for that. That stops now. Believing women is not complicated. But back to this seat. If they want to win this seat, if they want to honor what the Maine voters showed that they thought they saw in Graham Platner, they don't get to hand the ballot to the next safe corporate name in the jar. They must put their full weight behind an actual progressive who's not hiding anything, or they don't get to ask us to trust them ever again. And if not, if they pick the wrong person, honestly, F the party. It's progressives. That's what matters right now. And subscribe, because Maine has 2 weeks to decide who actually represents the left in the U.S. Senate, and we're not looking away from a single minute of it.